to do that.
Look, notice though, we're not doing hats anymore. Hats are so episode 1.
I'm upset.
Honestly, like I'm a little mad. I don't have mine and was going to go steal one of Emily's.
Can you comb your hair a little bit though before
No, never. Honestly, just be happy it's not like.
Oh, you can do a man bun. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Roadshow Roundup. I am Tracy Hackler from Roadshow Cards. Gentlemen who need no introduction by this point, but I'm going to introduce them anyway. Top right corner, Justin and Ryan Channels, who are running the California Roadshow in Sonoma, California. Okay. Lower left, Kevin Kulikowski, the man who's got the dulcet tones and just voice, golden pipes voice made for podcasts, and also running the New York Roadshow in Bronxville, New York. And he's lubing those pipes up as we speak. And then
getting prepared.
The bottom right guy, again, another gentleman who needs no introduction. I'm going to introduce him anyway. Trey Huntsman, who has been running quite exquisitely the Kentucky Roadshow shop, the original, for more than almost a year and a half now. And we're missing one person. I know you're thinking the screen's usually got 5 little pictures and not 4, but Cody Krim, I don't know. I mean, is he on a plane this week closing down?
Cody just texted me actually, and I know the story behind why he's not here.
Okay.
What is it? Have you guys seen the movie Karate Kid?
The original?
Of course.
The original, starring Ralph Macchio.
Yeah.
So Cody was outside of his storefront today, and all of a sudden, Ralph Macchio drives by and comes out to see what's going on in Mansfield, Texas. And Cody is like, whoa, Ralph Macchio. And then he was like, hey, I'm doing some filming for the new Cobra Kai series. Are you interested? And Cody was like, I don't know. I got to check with my wife. She said it was okay. And then Cody is now on a plane to California to film for the next season of Cobra Kai. So that's where we're at right now.
Wax on, wax off, wax in, and we sell it. So if you must know, and you must, because we're going to tell you, last week Justin was on a plane to close down a card deal for a Cristiano Ronaldo card.
That's right.
And this week, Cody Krim thought that taking Dallas Mavericks tickets was a better option than appearing on episode 3 of the Roadshow Roundup. We're all a little bit ticked off about it. He's going to pay a price for it. But he's no doubt watching a player who he's going to be selling a lot of cards of in the coming weeks, months, years, in Luka Doncic. So, but him not being here doesn't ruin this party for us. We're going to roll and we're going to celebrate like we've never celebrated. And we should probably start like we always do with just around the horn shop updates. Justin, Ryan, I know you guys had a huge day today. Why don't you fill us in on that?
Yeah, for sure. So today was a big day for the California Roadshow in the ways of progress. So we had the tree root problem, as I'm sure you've all seen on our Instagrams by now, which was a bunch of water damage and all that stuff. So that was a problem that needed to be fixed by our landlord, not by us, and was going to take about 2 weeks. So during those 2 weeks, we flew to Kentucky, as you heard on some of the previous episodes. So we came back and our contractor was like, okay, we're going to get back and get started, get our group in there next Tuesday. That was today, and give us all kinds of updates, starting with, and the biggest one is timeline. So when can we realistically expect a completion date on the California Roadshow? And he came back in and he says, based on everything that was done, everything that I'm seeing here, and all of the contracts that I need to sub out, you guys are looking at like 6 to 8 weeks. And then that's when the inside, like it'll all be finished. And then we just need to get furnishings and, finishing touches and things like that. So we were on the phone with David today. He's looking like first couple weeks of March, he's going to come out and help us with that whole process and do all those things. We've got Tracy Hackler and Jimmy and Brian coming next week to come check out the spot. So things finally feel like they're starting to move forward, whereas previously we had been met with a bunch of delays. But yeah, so that was our big update today. And we're
That's
really
very exciting. Ryan, you look giddy with anticipation, and I want to know what your thoughts are on today's news.
Yeah, no, today's news, I mean, it was good. There's always positives or negatives with the positives. And I think so there was certain updates such as budget being okay, so we can't just repaint the walls. Half of the wall used to be covered with this planking, which warped the texture of it. So that needs to be stripped and put whole new bottom half of the wall across the entire half of the building or the space. And so that's going to increase budgets. And then there's this like random, what would you call it? It's like a
protrusion.
We'll
throw a picture up on the thing here, but
yeah,
it's like this big block that just comes out. And we had thoughts and ideas of adding a second room, but then we kind of ex-nayed that. And so now with that new plan, we've got this big block. And
yeah, so we're going to take that out. That's additional money. And then then the electrician needs to come in, and we're going to work on that. So and there's certain wiring things that are going to cost more money. So it seems like each step of the way the price just keeps getting more and more, but it's to be expected. And but if price is the only issue, it's like nothing too serious, and we're still very excited. And the fact that he said 6 weeks and you're going to be good, and the fact that we could be opening like April 2nd is incredible. So
that's exciting.
Yeah,
that's exciting. I had a protrusion removed from the back of my neck quite a few years ago, and
it cost $500.
It was a little bit more costly than that, and probably a little more painful, but I'm better for having gone through that. Kevin Kulikowski, you had a meeting with the mayor or the secretary of mayordom? Who'd you meet with today?
So today was I had to go and give official sign off on our blueprints, which are now in the hands of the town building inspector of Bronxville. So I have been told that is going to be pushed through rather quickly. So I am hoping that we get some action and some movement next week. But other than that, it is the waiting game as we still continue to play. So that's really where we're at. Nothing major on the update front, but anxiously awaiting movement to start. But when it does start, it'll pick up rather quickly.
Yeah, that's what Jimmy keeps iterating every week on our weekly calls about. When they start, it's going to come together pretty quickly. Trey knows that. He's seen it firsthand. Trey, you're obviously done with the construction blues. What's happening then in Kentucky this week?
A lot of the same, which is always good. I guess no serious news is good news, but it's just been a lot of fun lately. It's been extremely busy in the shop. We talked about last week with the Super Bowl and everything going on, football just selling like crazy, wax, singles, all that. But a lot more of the same. It's been super busy in there every day from 12 until 6. We talked
about Trey, how was playoff football received? That was our big episode 2 conversation.
I would compare.
How was the release in the shop?
It was pretty solid. We had a pretty major snowstorm hit last week, like right around the time that it was going to be released. But it was received pretty well. It's been a steady sale, something kind of like how Prestige and Classics and like those mid-range products have been. The first box had a Jamar Chase redemption and like a gold Kyle Trask and all this. So It got off to a really good start. It's been really popular, and it's actually gone way up over the last bit, which kind of surprised me a little bit. Getting ready for the next couple of weeks. I think Elite Basketball, Kevin, comes out. First off the line drop today. It's pretty cool. I actually was able to get Upper Deck Golf in shop. And
sweet. Which product?
I got SP Game Used from last year and Artifacts.
Those are both really fun rips.
Yeah, so we had some ripped. I know that doesn't sound like the most exciting like hoopla that's happened ever, but Kevin, Justin, Ryan, like you're gonna see like getting Upper Deck stuff is not as easy. And whenever we do, it's so much fun because I love those cards and love being able to get golf stuff in there. Artifacts and SP Game Use is just awesome. Upper Deck has just killed it with those products over the last year. So that was cool to get those in there. We have some really cool stuff lined up that here in the next couple of weeks. I mean, it's going to be awesome with I mean, obviously with Culture Collision and everybody going out to LA, and we got a couple more things that will probably get announced here in the next couple weeks. But Tracy, do you mind if I ask a question? Can you pass the talking stick to me?
Oh, absolutely, man. You can ask any question.
So-
This is open forum, bro.
Awesome. So this is for Kevin. You can go first, and then you guys.
Cool.
So whenever we got started, I was kind of in between jobs with coming on as the construction was happening. So I was living in Louisville, living in Lexington, back and forth, and didn't really get to experience as much as like I really wanted to. Like I was there to help put the floor in and carry everything in, but like the design parts and the ins and outs of designing, the bathroom, we need to put a new water heater in and all this. So as you're building your shops, and is it something that's so exciting that you're getting to put like a part of you in as a collector, as a person, part of your city, part of your home? Like, what are you most proud of? What are you the most like looking forward to?
You have a vision in your mind, and you want to take pieces from what you see other card shops do correct, like what you think they do well, but you also want to make it a unique, like sort of your own, right? And I'm at the point now where I honestly go through different ideas on a daily basis. I'm like, oh, that might work, or that might work, right? But the whole thing that I want to try and do in New York, as of episode 3, as of the time of this recording, so don't hold me to this, but like I want it to be sort of minimalistic, but also still have that wow factor, right? Like a lot of things that you run into with a lot of the old school card shops is they're not necessarily the largest space, and so everything is crammed on top of each other, right? And I think Kentucky does that really well, where you walk in, there's a lot of open area, there's a lot of area to congregate, but like you still have a ton of inventory, right? And so with our shop and how large it is, and sort of the unique U-shaped layout of it, I really want to have it so that there's open, like an open concept really, but still the inventory is there, everything is awesome in place, but it sort of, it doesn't feel crowded, right? And I think as we go through that process and figuring out how to make that perfectly work, that'll be the cool thing. But then we also have little cool touches that I won't reveal too much on now, but there's going to be definitely a little bit of flavor that makes it uniquely New York, that I'm proud to reveal when the time is right. So that's sort of the way that I look at it.
Yeah, so we're kind of in the same boat. And good answer, Kevin. I like what you said about that, because that's something we've been kind of going back and forth with. Like, okay, obviously, like, we're here to elevate the hobby. We also want to make as much money as possible for the company, so we can keep expanding and keep growing. And it's like when you think about selling space versus non-selling space, like space that's not going to be making you money, but space that might also draw people in so that those people spend money. So it's like trying to find that balance is very interesting, because it's like, oh man, should we put more shelving here, or should we put a place to sit down?
Right.
Like trying to find a balance has been very interesting. And it's actually, if you think about or at least my vision, I have this tendency to think that Justin wants exactly what I want out of the shop, and which
is generally true.
It's pretty true, but at the same time, it's tough. But we had a separate room in the plans, and now it's just an open space. There's no separate room. I mean, obviously we have our office area in the back, but there's no second room in the main floor. And so, I mean, as we've gone on, just changing things. And if I'm answering the question correctly, I think one thing that's really exciting for me, like you said, just kind of adding a little flavor of where you are to it is, we're the bar aspect. Like every shop's going to have a card bar, but ours is going to be in the form of a wine bar. So when you walk in, it's going to feel like Napa. It's going to feel like Sonoma. You're going to say, oh, wow, this is very welcoming. This is very like, I want to sit down and I want to relax, because this doesn't feel, a stress-free kind of environment. And lots of oak, lots of California, woods and things. So
where it feels very familiar, but at the same time, it feels extremely unique. So, I recognize this, but my gosh, look how cool this is as a card shop. And then the one thing for me, for my vision, and I think this is something that Kentucky does very well, is I want to have it to where we have a school right next to us. So somewhere that I would have wanted to go as a kid, but I didn't have here in Napa, or we didn't have in Sonoma. So to make some place like that to where the kids can come in and feel, totally well to come into the card shop and see everything, but then the parents and the adults. So someplace I would have loved as a kid, but now as an adult, I come in and say, wow, look at this. It looks just like a wine bar. Look how cool that is. This is so Napa. This is so Sonoma. This is like very wine country, but at the same time, it's a wine bar that is suitable for kids and for the next generation of card collectors and everyone so we can serve the entire community, really.
I like it. I get excited just hearing you guys talk about it because we've all been seeing the Kentucky Roadshow shop. And Kevin, I thought your point about not seeming too crowded like a lot of traditional card shops are. I think Kentucky does a phenomenal job of having a bunch of stuff, but I never feel cramped when I'm in there. And it's not the biggest space in the world. And it's just a really open environment, but everything has a place. And looking at blueprints to me is a lot like math. And I'm not real good at math. That's why I was a journalism major, Trey. But I can't look at a blueprint and see what that blueprint's supposed to reflect. And I think you guys can do that a little better than I can because you guys kind of seem to know blueprint equals this. And so I'm really excited for you guys to document that process, not only for me, so I understand what I'm looking at before all the people following along on our journey to let them see that process too.
Absolutely.
So we had a homework assignment last week. If you guys remember what the homework was?
Yes, I understood the assignment.
Who knew the assignment?
I understood the assignment.
Are we looking for a show of hands, or are we?
Yeah, some kind of nod, just some kind of recognition that I just.
Emily did it for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just gonna copy Trey's, but just change it up a little bit.
Didn't you want us to look up like values of
I wanted us to discuss Cooper Kupp versus Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
We are ready for this conversation
Because those two guys, I don't know if
Van Jefferson,
the Channels brothers, I don't know if y'all know, but they're playing in the Super Bowl this week.
Oh,
Wait, what's that? No.
is that that's the game in the middle of the Eminem concert, right?
Yeah.
I was more excited for the Pro Bowl.
Right.
Oh, that was hard to watch, by the way. So we had talked about a little bit last week, Joe Burrow values and where they might go. And we thought it might be cool to look at Cooper Kupp, who by just about any definition had one of the greatest single seasons a receiver's ever had. And then Jamar Chase had arguably the greatest season a rookie's ever had. And we want to look at their values. And I don't know who wants to start. Kevin, I know you're a data guy, so let us know what you have.
It is so wild because I am the absolute opposite of a data guy in every other component of my life. But when it comes to sports cards, for some reason, I really like looking at numbers on computer screens.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to start by quoting our missing friend over here, Cody, when he said in the last episode that every season he thinks that this is going to be the year of the position player in football. And every year he is wrong because the market just doesn't agree with that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that becomes so incredibly obvious when you look at Cooper Kupp's values, right? And the ones that I looked at particularly were his immaculate rookie jumbo patch autos. So not the true RPAs, but the jumbo patch autos. And the fact that with a nice patch with a couple of different breaks, one just sold today for $305. Like that just sounds so low. And then if you turn around and look at Jamar Chase, his was at like $775 or like right around that price, right?
Yeah.
And the thing for me is, I guess you hope that Jamar Chase becomes what Cooper Kupp is, right? Which is weird that the prices are flipped, right? Where the guy, and this is all sports cards, but the guy who is more established is actually worth less than the guy who it's like, this is where we want him to be. The Bengals as a franchise, if Jamar Chase goes and puts up Cooper Kupp numbers every year going forward, right, they'd be thrilled. but like, what's that doing for his value? And I guess for me, like, I'd rather buy 2 Cooper Kupps over the one Jamar Chase, right? Like that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'd also probably rather spend that $700 on a quarterback, because like that's the way that football just works.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is a classic tale for folks who don't know much about collecting and are just looking to get into it, that rookie hype is real. And once you've become established, to a degree, your value diminishes in the card market because everybody's still focused rookie class to rookie class.
Yeah, and it helps, like in the case of Chase. I mean, Cooper Kupp was a relative unknown on draft day, whereas Chase had the prestige of the big school in LSU, performed well with Joe Burrow in the national championship game that season. And so Cooper Kupp, not that he surprised a lot of people, but he kind of did. You know, he wasn't heralded coming out in the draft, and who knew what he was going to do in that market. But man, he is so talented. And I think I'm with you. Like when you put it that way, Kevin, 2 Cooper Kupps for 1 Chase, I think I would be in that same boat.
You know,
Yeah, and it's
sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was just gonna say that like it's interesting, and I guess the one factor that sort of weighs on collectors' minds right now is like, strangely, the Rams have been favorites to win the Super Bowl for like, or in the conversation at least for the past couple of seasons, right? And Cooper Kupp has played a major role in that. But it's like, how much longer does Stafford have, right? Like, is the Rams, if they go on to win this Super Bowl, are they going to build a dynasty, or is it going to be like, okay, everybody rides off into the sunset now, right? And the team sort of breaks up as it is. And I guess the hope is now, Jamar Chase, look at this, his rookie season with Joe Burrow, they're both young. Is this going to be the Super Bowl franchise? You know, are they just going to continue to go there? And so if you're buying based on that, it's a risky exercise in prospecting, but at the same time, like, they do have the pieces together where they look good, but it's one of those, you know, are you that confident with how good the AFC is that the Bengals have a clear path to a championship every year?
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, Kevin, you said something about values, about like rookie hype, that made me think too. And I've noticed this in basketball cards a lot, is how, I mean, take my guy Steph Curry, for example. If you want to buy a 2015-16, which is, great, unanimous MVP year, flawless patch auto to 25, it's going to be less than a flawless patch auto to 25 that came out, this year. And I don't know why that is, but it seems like every year for vets and stuff, it's like there's a premium for new and shiny things. And I don't know if it's because people that got in the hobby just weren't around in 2015 through 17, 18, when there was like beautiful patch autos being produced. And now they just want the new ones within the last 2 years. But I like the vet autos in the last 2 years are just so much substantially higher for the same exact thing. Like there was a franchise favorites or whatever, insert auto from Flawless, and this year's had a sticker auto. And it was a patch auto with a sticker auto for Curry, and it sold for more than the on-card version from 4 years ago. And it's the same thing, and it's very similar patches. And I'm just like, I don't understand how any of this works sometimes, but
So
it's interesting.
That's crazy to me. And there was that whole thing about like you could buy Karl Anthony Towns' entire National Treasures rainbow for the same price as that Zion 9.5 went, and still have a bunch of money left over. But back to the original topic, like, I'm pretty sure Cooper Kupp's Optic Hollow and his Silver Prism are both under $50. His rookies, which are nuts to me after the historic season and the things like that. I mean, but even if you extrapolate this and go even further, I just saw a Jerry Rice, like a game used jumbo patch to 10 from Absolute with a huge stripe Niners patch. It was like $75. And it's like, it's just because, if that was Joe Montana, it'd probably be, 10 times that. So it's back to what Kevin said. And everyone is now realizing, excuse me, it's the position players, and then that is what we've seen historically. So that's where we're at. But $35 for an optic hollow of the best wide receiver season in recent memory, it's a little shocking.
Trey, what are you seeing in shop? I know Chase you guys are in Bengals country, as we've pointed out.
I don't see any Chase in shop. They're gone before. Like, I don't even get a chance to price them. They'll be sitting in stacks, and, kids will come in and get them. But, I was just looking a second ago, some of these receiving stats, looking at Chase. And first off, let me say what Jamar Chase did this season is absolutely remarkable. It's outside of last year's with Justin Jefferson and some of the Odell stuff back in 2014, maybe the most amazing just rookie season by a non-QB or non-guy named Adrian Peterson of an offensive player ever. It's just amazing. But if you look at similar stats, compare, targets and all that, you can kind of get down to the three guys that are pretty similar as Debo, Devontae Adams, and Jamar Chase. And just looking at those three guys and saying, like, where is the most potential of these three guys? I actually look at it and say, maybe it's not as much Kupp, because let's say Stafford moves on in the next 3 years. We generally have no idea who's going to be throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp. It's not going to be that hard to get somebody to go to LA, but whatever. Let's just say that the next 3 years, of those three guys, would you maybe take Debo because of what he can do in the rushing attack and receiving? And if, Trey Lance develops and he really relies on Debo, do you take Debo above anybody, or maybe Devontae Adams over that as well? But kind of get back to your original point, I think right now Jamar is probably the second most popular guy in shop behind Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like dollar boxes, $5, $10 jersey cards, whatever. It's amazing. We've never had a basketball guy do that before. Like,
Wow.
It doesn't live on the site. It doesn't sit on the shelf. It's, that's what people are asking for when they come in the door is what Burrow, what Higgins, and what Chase do you have? And the answer right now is absolutely zero.
We have none.
Zero.
So Trey, just did a quick peek. Debo Samuel's jumbo immaculate RPAs
Hit me with it.
do like $150. Not
yeah.
even.
He got knocked out of it. Listen, his prices wouldn't be Jamar level, but they'd be more than Kupp if he was in the Super Bowl.
Right. I mean,
He'd be the odds-on favorite for the MVP. And honestly,
true.
like, is Debo outside of maybe Derrick Henry? If Derrick Henry comes back next year, is he the best odds we've had for a non-QB MVP since AP? I guess. Is that right?
So
of the rushing
I would
stuff?
say probably, but I think that Jamar Chase hype is gonna live strong. Like you'll definitely see his name mentioned, although like him and Burrow will probably cancel each other out a little bit.
Yeah.
So
I was saying like next season, like season MVP could.
right.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean he's Jamar Chase is looking at fantasy, looking at everything like that. Like Jamar Chase is going to be projected to be the number one wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah.
And the issue is, or I shouldn't say the issue, but the knock against him then is every time he's getting a touchdown thrown to him, Burrow's throwing that touchdown. So them two will cancel each other out in the eyes of any voters. But yeah, I mean, Debo is the definition of plug and play. And
Yeah.
I mean, looking at these prices, even when they were in the playoffs, they were still $200. Like it's wild. And that's, again, do you want 4 of those or do you want one Jamar Chase? Like,
I mean, the sad truth about the NFL is that it's a quarterback hobby. I mean, and nothing else. I mean, the bargains that are out there for guys like Debo or Devontae, or, I mean, you have to be like an MVP quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, or a highly coveted rookie quarterback to get any kind of numbers on the market. It's pretty bizarre when you strip it down to what it really is. It's crazy.
Shout out.
But what?
I'll say quick shout out to Taylor on Twitter, BT Hawks, for pulling the Jamal Chase patch auto from Spectra that we gave away a box.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Jamar
Let's
Chase,
go.
silver ink auto. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was a nice. That's a good dude. So then I guess while we're talking about Jamar Chase, let's just get into the meat because there's a big game Sunday where Eminem will perform at halftime. It's called the Super Bowl 56, and we need predictions. And Trey, I want to start with you.
So I basically live at the shop with Jimmy's probably the biggest Bengals fan I've ever met. So I'm going to guess and hope that Jimmy doesn't hear this, but I think it's going to be the Rams. I know that's kind of chalky, but I really think that Stafford is going to get it done in this game. I think that it's too big of a legacy thing for him. I think this moves him into like top, 15 or so quarterbacks of all time. I think that he gets it done. I'm going to go for my MVP. I'll go Kupp. I think Kupp is the MVP, like 150 receiving yards, 31-24 Rams.
Okay, I like it. That's the kind of detail we're looking for, Channels Brothers.
Dude, go for it. I need a second.
For me, I'm thinking, for some reason I keep feeling Bengals. I think the Bengals will pull it out. I think they've had a miraculous season from the get-go. I think that they may not have the O-line, and so Burrow might get hit a lot more than Stafford, but I think that at the end of the day it's going to come down to it, and I think that it'll come down to a field goal and the Bengals will win it.
Score.
Okay.
Score 27-24.
Okay.
Evan McPherson again. I'm feeling it.
Yes, sir. McPherson's going to win it.
Boy, his cards will shoot up for a little bit.
I've had trouble with this because I can see both sides so clearly. Like I can see Burrow and Chase and Higgins and Hushmanzada. Like I could see them all going for it. But then I read Aaron Donald.
Hushmanzada's
Hold on,
playing? Hold on.
Hold
Is
on.
Chad Johnson coming back to play for this one too?
Let's go.
Is Carson Palmer actually wearing number 9?
Championship. Did you just say Hushmanzada?
I did. I've been reading a lot of articles. I read the name today. That's my fault.
Dude, let me tell you something.
His name is so
running back.
because his name is
No,
so
who's the
easy
guy-
to
who's
mix
the
up
guy
with
on the
other
Bengals?
folks in the
Maybe
NFL
you're
right
thinking
now.
I will
Uzama.
say Uzama, Hushmanzada. Like
Don't make excuses. Don't make
Dustin, I'll give
excuses
you
for him.
this.
Like no,
If Hushmanzada plays in this game, I will give you my entire collection.
All right. I got nothing to lose.
All right. Sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
But my big did you guys see Aaron Donald's letter?
Mm-mm.
And the whole thing, my God, like it was just so motivational, talking about like family and how he grew up and what the Super Bowl means to him and like doing it for his daughters and stuff. And then it had all the pictures of him sitting on the ground at the NFC Championship game. And I'm like, with the Bengals O-line, like that's not a good letter to be out there. I mean, just thinking of the passion and the fire that he's going to be playing with, combined with Stafford, just basically echoing what Trey said, like he wins the Super Bowl, his legacy is cemented. Like that's it. You're a champ. You went through all that stuff in Detroit. You proved everyone wrong. All you needed was a chance. Look what you're capable of. So I think I don't want to pour salt on any wounds here, but I think it's a coin toss.
Okay.
And I think
I'm sorry, Buffalo Bills fans.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to win it. And I think it's going to be close, but not too close. I think the Rams are going to win it by 6 points. It's going to be 36-30.
Okay. All right.
Big score. Big score. Big score.
Sorry, I'm going
Kevin?
through figuring out how 36 happens.
Yeah.
Like
3 field goals and 4 touchdowns.
Wow, he wants a lot of field goals. I hope they kick no field goals in the Super Bowl. I will say the same thing that Trey said. Jimmy is an insane Bengals fan, and so in my heart, I would like the Bengals to win. I think he deserves that, and the fact that he's just on such a hot streak of his teams winning championships, it would make sense. But my gut is telling me Rams, and the main reason is because that defensive front for the Rams is probably going to wreak havoc on Joe Burrow, and that'll be interesting to see. I do think it's going to be a close game, just because anytime this playoffs that I've said it wasn't going to be a close game, it has since basically the whole playoffs have been close games. I am going 31-28 Rams. Stafford as the MVP, and he's putting up a 400 spot for yards.
Can I get that? Hang on, I gotta get a prop in. Hang on.
400 spot.
He's like plus 289. So
Is he really?
I think it's 289.
He's coming in hot.
I just think like, and again, I am not the biggest Odell fan in the world, but I think that, you know, the Cooper Kupp for MVP shout is a good one, but like Odell's been putting up over 100 yards a game in the playoffs too. So it's like, again, the rule of people canceling each other out. I think if Stafford is spreading the love there, that'll give him the edge for MVP.
It might be Tracy's guy, Von Miller. If they double up Donald and Von gets like 14 sacks, I mean,
Don't think I haven't thought long and hard about what it would look like if Von Miller was the only defensive player in NFL history to win 2 Super Bowl MVP awards. That would be spectacular. But I against all odds, I'm going with the Bengals for a couple of reasons. One, I'm a big fan of witnessing history and the Bengals winning a franchise first Super Bowl after 2 kind of hard fought losses to the Niners in years past. I think that's exciting. I think the hobby would go to a place maybe it's never gone with the values of Burrow and even Chase if they win. And I just keep going back to who they've beaten in the playoffs. Like when they beat Kansas City, they beat what most people thought was the best team in football in their home, down 21-3 or whatever it was, and they found a way to do it. I think Burrow is that dude. I think
wow, the disrespect for the 1 seed Tennessee Titans, who just didn't even get mentioned there.
Well,
although I can tell me and Trey definitely tuned you out the second you said who they beat in the playoffs.
I didn't want to rub it in. I didn't want to rub it into you guys, but look, they've beaten the 1 seed on the road. They've beaten the 2 seed on the road.
They beat the Raiders at home.
They beat the Raiders at home.
Yes, true. Why can't they win it all? I mean, it's just, I think it's coming together perfectly. I'm going to say Bengals 27, Rams 21, Burrow MVP, RPAs to the moon. And we'll check back next week and see if we're all right or wrong. But if they don't win, I want Von Miller to win MVP. So there we go. I want to ask all y'all's opinion because it seems like for the time being, the NBA card market, not that it's soft, but so much attention is being focused on the NFL stuff, rightfully so. Do you guys foresee the NBA market picking up in earnest after the Super Bowl?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think the NBA is
sure.
in a weird spot right now too, with the All-Star break coming up, the trade deadline. Like players are moving around. You know, people are. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, McCollum's gone. Like, so a lot of different things happening that kind of make people wary to maybe buy as much as they normally would. It's because I mean, it seems like, you know, like even James Harden is like might be moving to another team. So it'll be interesting. So, but I guess now might be is there ever a good time to buy Ben Simmons? Maybe like, you know, if he ends up getting traded, I don't know. So
I think Kevin Durant's gone.
You think Kevin Durant's going? Okay, yeah. So
somebody mute their line. Like these predictions.
Harden and Durant are gone. Kevin,
absolutely wild.
That's my. We got Woj up here just dropping bombs. LeBron's going to the Shanghai Sharks, according to Justin.
Oh, dude, I just, you know, I see a lot of things and I think a lot of thoughts. So I
hope you're right, Justin, because that would really shake things up.
I like watching the Brooklyn Nets, so I hope that team remains intact because the big 3 in Brooklyn has only played like 4 games together.
Yeah,
like, you'll still have Blake Griffin, Kev.
But Kevin,
love me some Blake Griffin
in the championship. Like, is that just such a huge letdown to where it's like this is all for nothing and these guys are getting frustrated and then they want out of there, right? Like.
So here's what I'll say on that, and for the disclaimer for those folks listening at home, I am a Dallas Mavericks fan, so I just appreciate New York basketball. I watch all the time, my local market, and the Mavs are not on at the same time usually, so I get to watch whichever New York team is playing. The Nets, for me, with their big 3, right? Because we've seen the issues that the Lakers are having this season. And that's sort of what I was going to touch on with the basketball card market in general, just being like the seeds right now are kind of weird, right? Like Miami is sitting atop the Eastern Conference, and I don't know why, right? Like the Cleveland Cavaliers are the 4 seed as of today. And it's sort of like right now, for the first time in a couple of seasons, it's almost like playoff seeding is not a certainty right now, right? Like there are good teams that are bad currently, and there are teams that I would have thought going into the season were going to be bad that are good, right? So if you look, I mean, at the market for like folks like Darius Garland, first time All-Star now, like there's attention being drawn to younger players here. But at the same time, the fact that some of those big names or these big names teams are underperforming, it's sort of weird in the card market. And the other thing you look at is like now that you have Joel Embiid having an MVP caliber season, like a wild season, but bigs don't always sell well. And so it's like, okay, if he's the big name right now, right? Because if you look over in the West, right, the Warriors, Curry stuff is untouchable for a lot of people. You know, Draymond Green stuff has never been that hot. Clay stuff, you can still get very affordable, like lower end rookie Clay stuff. And so it's just sort of like, I'm interested to see how it shakes out. But I do think that the second that the NFL is gone, NBA is gonna heat up and I mean, I hate to say it, but some of the TV games, the national TV games, just haven't been that great. There's like and I don't think that helps. But with that being said, once we start getting past the All-Star break, second half of the season, where you see like, and it's like, oh wow, are the Lakers going to make the playoffs? Like, you know, and the games start to matter more. And like, that's the issue that a lot of people have with the NBA is that it feels like a lot of the games just don't mean anything, right? Especially when you have a very clear playoff group of teams and then the teams below them. But now this season, when you're coming into the second half and the Lakers are going to have to be scrapping, like Brooklyn is going to have to be scrapping. Boston's the 7 seed right now. Like there's no certainty, right? I think that we should see a run to close the NBA season that will sort of encompass the same feeling that these football playoffs have been giving us and completely shoot the NBA market up to the moon, as we used to the moon for the second segment in a row. But the other thing to look at, and we can have Trey slightly touch on this, is this year's rookie class from a collector's standpoint is not outstanding, right? Like nobody, it's like Cade Cunningham's a good basketball player. Like there's a bunch of good ball players in the class, but nobody in this class has the LaMelo hype, has the Zion hype, has the Ja Morant hype, right? Like that hasn't come out yet. And so for basketball collectors, I guess it's hard to buy in when the rookie class is and a lot of the good releases are still ahead of us.
Yeah. And so many of these guys are just on just absolute duty teams. Like, just honest. Like so many of these guys, like I watch and I say like, I really think that Scotty Barnes is going to be a really good NBA player. I think he's going to be better than Tyrese Halliburton. I really like guys like that. I think Barnes, like if you put him in last year's class, he's probably a lot more renowned of a player, personally, in my opinion, because last year's class was so top heavy. And looking at last year's class, like Anthony Edwards was on that Timberwolves team's awful, just absolutely horrible. And now what they're actually winning games now and all of this.
Anthony Edwards on the microphone has just worked his way. He's worked his way into collector's heart.
Are you an A-Rod fan at all growing up or anything like that? What do you think about what he might bring to the team?
A fan? What do you mean? Like, who is he?
But is he better on the mic than Cole Anthony?
That's a tough one. And I know our guys are going to insert some clips here at some point in this, and I look forward to that on the finished product. But that's a tough question. But Anthony Edwards not knowing who A-Rod was is borderline one of the biggest gems in current interview history. Like it really is.
And one more thing about the basketball market. So if you look back at the 2019-20 season, I guess the 2020 bubble, when that happened, what else in the entire sports world was happening? Zero. You had NASCAR, which was absolutely lit during that time. Justin can agree with me. It was like NASCAR every night. There was nothing else to do. I was getting way
It's
too
true.
into it at
It
that
was.
point.
Tell me you're
But-
from Kentucky without telling me you're from Kentucky.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that's, I had my Busch Light ready to go and, I was ready to watch NASCAR. But right now, once the Super Bowl ends, once football's done and you're starting to get into that draft season, with MLB not having that lead up to spring training hype that we normally have at this point, all eyes are going to be on the NBA and on March Madness. Everything is going to be basketball, really up until we either know about spring training, the Masters, and the NFL draft, which none of those are going to make enough waves to make the NBA draft, make the NBA push to the playoffs different. So I actually think like there's going to be more eyes on the market. Now, where do they go? I think it's probably going to be on more of the established guys. Like you were talking about Curry being untouchable. We don't know what Curry can do yet, because if they go out and roll to another championship, which I really think that they will. I mean, on February 8th of 2022, I'll say the same thing I would have said in August, that I don't think that anybody's really going to compete with the Warriors this year. I really don't. And what does that do for the Curry market, for Clay?
The
Yeah,
moon.
the moon. Because one thing we're starting to see with some more of these basketball collectors is you saw the people that like really got into the rookie hype. Oh, I'm going to invest in everybody from Zion to Ignas Brazdeikis. And then everybody realized about right here, oh, I should just buy Curry. Oh, I should just buy LeBron. Oh, I should just buy this. So I think you're going to start seeing more of the established guys. You're going to start seeing their numbers keep going up. Curry autos, LeBron stuff. Well, maybe not LeBron right now, but Giannis. Like you'll start seeing Giannis as the Bucks. Like the Bucks aren't going to be the 5 seed. They're going to be I think they're the 5 right now, right, Kev? Yeah. So they're going to be the 2 or the 3 by the end of the season.
No, I'm sorry. They're the 2. They're on a 3-game win streak. They're the 2 seed
my
right now.
All right. So they are going to be much higher than where they were at the 5 seed. So there's going to be more eyes on Giannis, Curry, I think, than the rookies down the end of the stretch, because there's not really going to be any of those rookies that are playing at such a high level. I mean, Franz Wagner is having a great season, but the Magic are barely into double-digit wins yet. Yeah. So how many people are going to be watching him at that point?
I want to say one thing real quick. I know we mentioned how Draymond Green's markets never really took off. I think his new deal with Turner Sports and him getting a lot of airtime on national television, I think people are going to realize like how amazing of a guy he is off the court, and how
basketball
like his basketball IQ and everything is just so much fun to watch and to listen to that, maybe, I don't know.
Coming from a guy who puts on Draymond Green's podcast when we go on road trips. So we're very high on Draymond. Yeah.
All right. So then I need to ask, because to touch on Trey's point, we need to ask the Curry Vault himself. I just took a quick peek, and it looks like the cheapest like pack inserted Curry autos right now are around $1,000. Like, is that crazy of a buy? Is that a good buy at $1,000? Like,
that's pretty crazy. Like when you consider, I mean, like not in the grand scheme of things, like it doesn't sound crazy at all. But when you think about his autographs, even like last season, at the end of last season, the cheapest pack pulled autographs for $350. So it's like when you think like, you can get like Illusions, the retail autos for $350. Like I picked one up last year at the last game of last season. At the game. Yeah. And so like seeing now that card's an $800 card, $900 card, like it sounds crazy, but it also, it makes sense. And especially with him not having autographs in Flawless this year, like, what other products is he not going to have autographs? And when he does, he has 25 of them, or 31, I guess, if you include parallels. Like, so seeing more and more of that, it'll be interesting going forward just for his market. I definitely think, like you guys said, it's pretty untouchable. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see it go higher. But for some of those lower end ones, like the pack pulled, I think $1,000 seems pretty darn fair. But for like the higher end stuff, like $15,000 for a Flawless patch auto, seems cheap in comparison.
But to our point earlier, don't go and buy a 2021 contenders sticker auto of Curry. Go back and buy a 14, 15, something of Curry for around the same price because it's possible. They're out there. Those
those
deals.
nice
So
early on card full autographs they're like the same price as modern stickers. So I think that's at least that's been my philosophy, is trying to buy as much on card earlier stuff that I can. So, and I don't know about like what your guys' take on this, but buying things from specific seasons where players did well. So like I love buying cards from Curry's championship years and his MVP years, like just because it kind of feels like, I don't know, just
when you mentioned that earlier, I was gonna say that like that's the sign of a true collector there.
Yeah,
because like I have the teams and everybody that I follow closely. It had never crossed my mind that like, oh, I want something from this specific season because of X, Y, or Z.
It's like Jimmy's RPA. Have you seen his RPA? It's 73 of 99. And that's cool because the Warriors have the record at 73 wins. Like that's just like the numbering on there. It means nothing, but at the same time, it means everything to people who know the Warriors like that. Like,
although it allows you to put eBay 1 of 1 in your title if you eventually sell it.
So
I've got a Curry that's 413 out of 499, and I think like Philippians 413. That's like the verse he writes on his shoes all the time. Like little random things like that are cool, and I think obviously don't add much value, but to true collectors, like if you start looking for stuff like that, it's fun.
We could obviously sit here and talk all night about geeky hobby things. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to get to next week. Trey mentioned Culture Collision. That's coming up. We're excited about that. Next week is also the Top Series 1 Rip Party thing that we're going to go to, and I'm sure we'll report back on that. You gentlemen, you guys all told me that we weren't going to miss Cody when we started, and you were right. You were right. We didn't miss Cody. Hope Luka goes off for him tonight watching the Mavs. He missed one hell of a podcast, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Justin Ryan, California Roadshow, Kevin, New York Roadshow, Kevin Kulikowski, New York Roadshow, Trey Huntsman, Kentucky Roadshow. Thank y'all as always. Have a great night. And let's do it again next week. Well, enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody. And thank y'all for watching as always. We'll do it again next week. We love you, and we'll see you.
See you guys.